Alrighty, good morning, folks. I hope you're doing well today. Hopefully we can bring something extra to everyone's Monday, because we all know how Mondays can, well, Monday. We're going to have a really awesome race here between TwoCplus and Kyle Berry. This is going to be our first race kicking off round 2 of the tournament, so this is going to be really exciting. I am going to basically get them started, and I will be back in a moment, as I will also be doing commentary, so hang tight. Alrighty, get ourselves some game audio here. So this should be excellent. For those that don't know, this is basically kind of a new meets old Battle of the Titans, if you will. TwoCplus and Kyle Berry are both runners of the Messenger. And both of them have taken on Cyber Shadow. Now, 2C was a very, very early to the game style racer of Cyber Shadow. He picked up and he got on the grind basically from release. And then we have Kyle Berry. So Kyle Berry essentially is one of our newest runners in the community, and he's just they've just had an accelerated pace of the learning process and the learning curve. So it's been really amazing to see Kyle Berry basically picking up all of the refined strats that have been kind of forged over time by other runners, coming in with that benefit of the extra knowledge piece. And 2C, I'm not 100% what 2C has been playing as of late. I know he did a long time grind, and then I think he probably wanted to take a little bit of a break from Cyber Shadow to do other things. So this will be really interesting to see. Kyle's time has been coming down really significantly and really quickly, just on the side north of 1 hour. So I expect to see Kyle cracking the sub hour any day now. And then 2C, it's been a little while since I checked. I believe off the top of my head, I want to say 2C has a 58, could be a 57. Or maybe even lower, but I know 2C is definitely into the 50s. 2C's been doing a bunch of Link to the Past rando lately. That is something that I can totally get on board with. I believe I did see a couple streams of that. Yeah, neck and neck. Basically, stage 1, our 2 runners have gone through the tutorial, which is basically chapter 0. And stage 1 is going to be all cycle based, so it's going to be a lot of these little platform cycles. We're going to see our runners, 2C no. 2C unfortunately took a bump. But this is basically going to be all platform cycles throughout the duration of this stage. There's a couple little ledge grabs and jumps that our players can make that can save some time. Both of them come into the first midway boss, which is, of course, the Smasher. And Smasher's going to smash. Simple jump attacks, watch the turrets, watch the fireballs. Not too complicated. And it's down. So depending on what our players are using for frame rate, all consoles are locked at 60 FPS. PCs, of course, have the ability to run more than 60 FPS. If you're playing at 60 FPS, you're going to get the benefit of being able to do ledge grabs. We'll see if our players go for them here. There's one from 2C. And Kyle trying. There we go. Second try. So both of our players then playing at 60 FPS because that is a frame limited trick. If you're playing above 60 FPS, then you do have the benefit of being able to attack slightly faster, but you won't be able to do any of those ledge grabs. So you can kind of pick your poison in terms of what run you would like to do or which style of play you would prefer. We do see Kyle is using the alternate text, yeah. I'm not sure if it was myself that did that first. I switched pretty early on just because old habit, I guess. Something that you see with a lot of speedrun games. The message text box in text box speed in this game is fairly fast, and we haven't really worked out any language differences. So language is really just kind of preference at this point. We did pull the same thing that we did with the messenger, in the fact that we did put the bug in Mecha's ear about a fast text skip option. Sabotage was nice enough to do it for the messenger. We're waiting on a new patch for Cyber Shadow, so I'm not gonna bank on it. Like, I don't want to say, oh, that's gonna happen, but we can all keep our fingers crossed, because that would be really awesome. Mecha, if you're out there listening, we always encourage saving people's hands, and text mashing is not something we generally equate to the same as gameplay. 2C unfortunately unable to tickle the toes. Kyle's going to pick up a little bit of time in that fight. That's going to bring us really, really close together again. So Kyle was a little bit behind going into this cycle, but on that fight he definitely picked up some time. Sorry, my apologies. Orb. Yeah, Mecha's been really great about looping everyone in terms of patches in past. Things have been a little silent as of late. I know a big hurdle has been getting the consoles kind of in line with PC, because right now console players unfortunately have not received any patches, while PC players are up to 1.0.3. Oh no, 2C. Okay, so Kyle not going for the SP upgrade. We're going to see a little bit of divergence here. 2C looked like they were going for the SP upgrade, which it only takes a few seconds. There's really two schools of thought. Our runners can grab the extra SP. Certainly no harm in doing so. It only takes a few seconds, and it is useful throughout. 2C looked like he kind of maybe just decided to do both, and I don't my brain has done that to me. I'm sure all of you have had that same experience where you can't decide between two things and you basically choose the middle of the road, and unfortunately the middle of the road in this case was fall into that little pit. That's gonna put him a little bit back and give Kyle a slight edge, but you know, this is Cyber Shadow, this is early, anything can happen. Kyle getting the damage boost with the laser, very nice. Small ledge jump there. Ooh. Alright, so we see Kyle picking up the Blade Extend. So Laser Brain, pretty simple boss, little trash blocks that you can stand on. You'll see these little kind of ticks come out of the eyepiece if you're close enough to it. Basically, Laser Brain has a weakness that if you hit the eyepiece, it does extra damage compared to if you hit the outside. The Blade Extend is extremely useful in not only taking advantage of that, but allowing you to get up to 3 slashes per jump to Laser Brain, and you can really just finish it off really quickly. Kyle still with 2 hits left on the Blade Extend. For those that are not aware or haven't played the game, you can see the sub-weapon HP in the top left of your screen next to the player's health and SP. Both of our players with 2 hits. It looks like 2C unfortunately had his trash pile destroyed and is having to wait a little bit of extra time for Laser Brain. Meanwhile, Kyle taking on the infamous Fly Elevator. If you like achievements and you want to get all of those feats, you are probably very familiar with this. And if you tried to get all of those feats on console at all, or PC up until it was patched, you would know that that was quite the experience. The feat in question is, of course, do this elevator without killing any flies. All of these spikes around you are, of course, instant death spikes. And all of these fly pods dropping what were normally 2 flies. It was quite the experience. So post-patch, a little more generous. This feat is not nearly as daunting post-patch. Unfortunately, because this is the Chapter 2 elevator, our runners are not going to be subject to fast or slow elevator, but we can talk more about that in Chapter 10. You see making his way up the elevator. Interesting note, I don't think we've mentioned in any of the races about these little backpack dudes. If you hit them in the back, it basically causes them to die instantaneously and explode. Where if you hit them in the front, I think it takes 4 slashes. I want to say 4, maybe 3. Very nice trash room by Kyle. Trash room can get a little bit messy. If you miss basically the cycle that you're looking for, you can end up with the lasers nuking a few of your trash blocks on the way down and really just killing a whole bunch of time while you stand there at the bottom. Kyle making short work of the boss. Very short work of the boss. I know a few people speculated. They're like, I wonder if that head's going to come back at any point. Like, especially during first play, they watch the little head crawl away, and they're like, I wonder if that's going to come back later. Orb. Alrighty. So first one gave us the shurikens at the end of Chapter 1. This one gives us access to the Rising Fire. Scrambler quickly dying on TwoCplus's side as well. So shurikens, obviously, we saw a little bit of use throughout. Useful for hitting things from afar, whether it be switches or enemies. Nice ledge clip there by Kyle. Rising Fire is basically a beast. So Rising Fire is an upward slash when you don't have SP. When you do have SP, and not only do you get the upward slash, but you get 3 fireball projectiles that come out of your blade and can all damage enemies above you. So it even says in the manual that Rising Fire can quickly drain enemies' HP or something of that form, and that is not an understatement. It is an absolute deadly weapon. You'll see runners make use of it in multiple boss fights between now and the end of the game. Also hitting that ledge clip, nice. Definitely get your jams out. Stage 3 is so good. Backwards damage boost by Kyle. Getting the safety health, definitely doesn't hurt. Another ledge clip, and another. Very nice. And I mean, this is cumulative tech, right? You have to realize that these ledge clips in and of themselves are not like game breakers. You're not gonna take away someone's lead by hitting one and somebody missing one. But they add up over time, right? This is one of those skills that anytime it's applicable, you're going to save yourself a couple seconds. And so if you're nailing all of those jumps, then that's going to add up by the end of what is an hour-long run, right? Yeah, both of our runners just really forging on. 2C had that early death in 2, but it wasn't that punishing. So realistically, other than that one mistake, it's pretty much even. Both of them are making really consistent progress. Kyle on to section 2 of chapter 3. Very comfy. Alright, and on to the tank boss. So, tank boss, turrets everywhere. We don't really care. Just slash the middle part. That's what we're trying to destroy. You can hit the cannons to basically make them go back into the body piece and stop shooting at you. But realistically, there's not too much risk in dying in that fight. Unless things go terribly wrong. But so fast, it's done with. Another ledge grab. Very nice. Just all of them. For those wondering how that works, basically, you have to do a jump, and then you have to pull back towards the platform at the peak of your jump just as you start falling. So you can't make those ledge grabs on the way up. You actually have to be coming down from the peak of your jump. So what our runners are doing, there's another one, very nice, with a little wiggle. What our runners are basically doing is they're aligning it, and some of them like that one, that was a potential right there for Kyle. Some of them have like normalized setups where you can just have a visual cue of, okay, I'm going to jump and I know that the peak of my jump is going to align with when this platform approaches. But it doesn't work when you're in the middle of a vertical climb. So if you're in a horizontal section, yeah, visual cues, definitely some easier ledge grabs to do. If you're doing vertical climb sections like that, for example, there's no normalized kind of setup in terms of I just hold right or left and do a full jump. Yeah, Kyle right now, hot pace, looking comfy. 2C definitely back in the driver's seat though. There's you know, nerves can kick in and happen to anybody, and anyone can have a mistake in this game, so it is not over yet. We are less than 15 minutes into what could go back and forth multiple times over the course of the next 45 minutes. Alright, Kyle's on to Biohunter. Biohunter, not the most exciting boss. A couple ways that you can tackle this, but basically you're trying to use the swag blade, which was purchased just before the boss, to do as much damage as possible, and you're looking to essentially get him into phase 2 after 2 cycles, like we're seeing now. And gonna throw that blade, please. Blade, please. Okay. Swag blade was just not cooperating there. Generally, you just want to toss it into the middle of the fight when Biohunter becomes vulnerable, and it'll hit him, usually twice. But it was not playing nice. It did not want to get slashed. See if 2C has a little more luck. Oh, okay, so 2C actually got really good damage after the first phase was dead, but before he escaped the screen. Yeah, very, very quick fight on 2C's side. The big win there was definitely the damage as phase 1 was flying away. It was down to less than a quarter health. That means when phase 2 became vulnerable, it was literally just a few slashes and done like dinner. Our runners now have the down stab. A couple different things that you can do with this. If you look on Kyle's side, Kyle's going to be using the swag blade we saved from earlier and actually hit a brick of TNT up there to exit faster later. Downstab can be used, as you just saw there on the right, to really quickly fall. Basically, your character just goes invisible and appears down below wherever there is physical ground. And if there's not physical ground, you're going right into a pit. But yeah, you can use the downfall to basically accelerate these sections and just, you know, cut your fall speed. Or cut your fall time, sorry. Onto the Monkey Shrine. You'll be using this newly acquired downstab to bounce off a few lanterns, a few crates. They do race the monkey. Now you can say it's not really a race until that one time where all things just happen to line up and go wrong, that all of a sudden you actually do have to race the monkey. But your climb has to go pretty wrong for that to ever be a thing. I did say it, but I didn't curse anybody, so we're good. Both of them through successfully. No shenanigans in the monkey climb. Alright, Kyle on to 4. So that was 2 abilities back to back that we basically got. We got the down stab, which we're going to see a lot of, and we also just got the wall cling ability from the Monkey Shrine. As it sounds, it's basically just grip onto any wall and slide down slowly. You can jump up the wall. If you've ever played Mega Man X, basically, Mega Man 0, anything of that form, I'm sure there's multiple other games outside of the Mega Man realm that are not immediately coming to my mind. But yeah. Very start of this stage, super simple. Left and right, hit the 2 switches, make your way back to the center, and go through the door. This is definitely a stage where you're going to see more instant death spikes. And I would say, as a whole, probably start to back, you have more enemies. Like once you get to chapter 4, they really start kind of being a little less forgiving. You're not only dealing with enemies and traps simultaneously. but the enemy count just increases. You're having more projectiles on screen. You have these enemies that are shooting these little triple clusters, whatever you'd like to call them. Got the electricity. Yeah, this is jam-packed. See, 2C still working off the swag blade. Wow, that was scary. I know it looked scary and wasn't actually scary because he was just going straight down via the drop, but just looked like he grazed the spikes. This cyber section, fairly new discovery that you can just hit the right switch and leave. It wants you to hit the right switch and then the left switch. We'll see if Kyle can make this new cycle. Oh no. Okay, very nice. That was not as tight as it ended up looking. But yeah, you're supposed to basically hit this right piece, and then you're supposed to go back to the left of the door. It opens, hit the left thing. There's this explosion animation, and you leave the cyber area. Just don't do any of that. Just hit the right switch and leave. You save the time hitting the left side. You save the time the explosion animation. It's a nice discovery. 2C taking the old cycle on those platforms. Totally respectable. The new cycle discovery was, I believe, I want to say within the last couple weeks that cycle was discovered to be makeable. All right, Kyle had a little bit of hesitation at the start of this room. We're going to see if this platform cycle is still going to line up for him. He's probably going to... Oh, okay. Well, that was scary. They could have opted out because the hesitation caused the platform cycle to be off there. Opted for the damage boost and still made it through, which is fine. It was just a little bit of a clench moment. See what happens with 2C on his side. All right, there we go. So that's the cycle made. That's what it looks like if you don't have the hesitation and you make the cycle as intended. But no harm, no foul. Kyle got through. They're fine. We'll note now, because it's going to come into play a little bit later. These explosive pipes that you see our runners hitting have these little exposed flashing areas. You can actually use the kunai to cause these to explode. So any explosion will cause these to detonate. Later, you're going to be seeing charged versions of different abilities, one of which includes the kunai, which is the charged version of the shuriken. And hopefully, you'll see one of our two runners put into play a nice strategy where you can use that to detonate one of them early. Keep an eye out for that. All right. Kyle is on their way to the Mecha Dragon. So Mecha Dragon, 2-cycle humanely possible, also generally insane. Not typical at all. You have to basically have everything aligned, and you have to have amazing execution. Couple different ways that you can tackle this fight. You would want to see a 3-cycle or a 4-cycle is generally what you're looking for. 3-cycle is not unusual. Good second. So Kyle's battling two things right now during this fight. Actually, multiple things, more than two. Nice shot of the dragon. So Kyle's trying to deal with the platforms, which are RNG. Deal with managing the SP count. So you are farming SP refills from the tops of these platforms. You have to deal with which side Mecha Dragon is going to spawn on. Mecha Dragon also destroying your platforms. And then you have to deal with your Charge Blaster. So your Charge Blaster is charging up, and you can see it's got a little marker on the side of it there on Kyle's side. And there's 3 levels of charge that you can release. Thing is, if you're slashing the platforms and you're trying to farm MP, you're also shooting the blaster, which means it's not charging. And the Charge Blaster actually does a lot of damage to Mecha Dragon. So it's strange because it's almost counterintuitive to both try and farm SP and charge your blaster. Runners will have different ways on how they prefer to do that. But yeah, both of them getting through it. 2C picked up a little bit of time on that fight by the looks of things. Both of them in the crystal section, one entering, one exiting. But yeah, that's Mecha Dragon in a nutshell. Fighting platform RNG, trying to farm SP while trying to also maintain your Charge Blaster, and hoping the platforms just play nice. I'm gonna restock that blaster. Yeah, they both did seem like they got a 4-cycle. I'm not sure if 2C's was just a little bit of a faster 4-cycle. It was looking really promising on his side at the start, and then his 3rd cycle just presented no options with platforms by the looks of it, from what I recall. But the Mecha Dragon was so low on health that at the start of that 4th cycle, he was able to finish off pretty quickly. We're going to see a little bit of divergence here. Going to be interesting to see what Kyle opts to do, because Kyle has already taken a hit. 2 hits. Probably going to buy the E-Field now. There's 2 ways that you can do this. So runners can either carry the blaster all the way from Mecha Dragon to the reactor fight, and then onward into the next chapter in an attempt to do a skip. Alternatively, they can pick up the E-Field before the reactor, and they can use that to do the skip as well. So you're going to see Kyle's going to basically try and not take damage. Took 1 shot, but is going to have 1 hit of leeway here for the skip on the next chapter. 2C didn't even opt to re-grab the blaster. From my knowledge, 2C prefers the E-Field for the next chapter. So he was just committed to, I'm going to just buy it. Okay, tried a little bit of a different strat. 2C unfortunately had a couple swings that went the wrong way with the rising fire, and as a result ended up still taking a 2nd hit. So he doesn't have that same buffer of hits, or that same leeway that Kyle's going to have going into this. But both of them with very good fights. We now have the ability to parry. For those that have played like Street Fighter, 3 is typically the go-to example. The parry system is usually something that players have to get used to at first, but is extremely powerful for a multitude of reasons. For one, there's just a lot of things that you can parry, and there's a lot of things that you can parry that you probably wouldn't think you should be able to parry. But you basically have to press towards the projectile, and you have to do so when it's close enough to, and it'll create a ball of energy, which you can either swipe forward, or alternatively you can swipe upwards to do massive amounts of damage. It's going to be used throughout the rest of the run. It's extremely powerful. You can also get SP back if you do what's called a perfect parry. So if the shot is actually close enough to your character when you parry it, you will not only be given the opportunity to parry it, you'll actually get 1 SP back, which is kind of cool. Very nice dodge by 2C there to dodge the projectile from the enemy behind him. He kind of like hesitated on his jump a little bit. Kyle so far has that extra leeway, has not taken a hit. I just said it, so we'll see what happens. But confidently and comfortably making their way through. The parry also felt improved after a patch, because initially you couldn't parry when you were in iframes, and that made things awkward, I guess is the best word. But post-patch, you can actually parry when you're in iframes, and Mecha even went the distance in adding like a little like crescent moon shape that appears in front of you when you're in iframes, so you can even see your character and know where that kind of like parry distance is. Because obviously your character is going to be flashing when you're in iframes. So to give you visibility, Mecha even added that that little thing. And unfortunately 2C, oh no. Well, to and that is Cyber Shadow again in a nutshell. So the skip is tough. We know that 2C had 1 less hit, or no hit, I guess, that he could take leading up to it. Fortunately getting a little bit bullied by the purple goo. Goo? Spikes? Gooey spikes? I don't know. creeping purple wall. Yeah, so we're going to get to see the full loop on 2C's side. This skip is really only something that you'll see in low percent or in any percent. You won't see this in 100% because there's actually something that runners need to grab up here. But that's basically going to be a 25-second save roughly for Kyle. Very nice alpha fight. Only took one shot. Has the SP dispenser. The SP dispenser, as we go on, is going to become more and more valuable. You've seen a couple different variations of things that our runners have picked up, but realistically, you're not going to see them pick up any sub-weapons from now until the end of the game that aren't the SP dispenser. And, woo. So you're going to see Kyle go along. They're going to try and carry this for as long as they possibly can, because not only is it going to help with bosses and being able to do specials and attacks like that, very shortly it's going to fuel our best movement tech. Alright, so we see Kyle's on to Alpha 2. Couple things to note here. You want to kind of be careful how you attack and how quickly you attack here. You don't want to hit Alpha 2 with your blade. You actually want to hit Alpha 2 with the parries because they're stronger. You also don't want to attack too quickly, or you can cause Alpha 2 to close its eye and not allow you to get the down stabs in at the end of that cycle. Almost a one cycle. One cycle is possible. It's really tight. 2 cycle, totally standard, very clean. 2C coming over here on Alpha 1 side. Very nice parries. Very nice. So 2C not in a situation to have the currency for the SP dispenser. That said, really good use of Rising Fire. Really, really good aggressive parries from 2C on the Alpha 1 fight. Excellent. All right, so now we have the tool to go fast. Kyle's got the ability to pump those legs. Now, along with this, and why you're going to see use, why you're going to see use out of the SP dispenser is because not only does SP work in terms of your attacks, but it also kind of impacts them in other ways. So Rising Fire, for example, doesn't have the projectiles. If you don't have the SP to support it, it's just an upstab. Well, in the case of this dash attack, if you do a dash attack and you don't have SP, it's not only going to go a shorter distance, but it actually cuts your dash speed after the attack happens. So the SP dispenser is really going to be crucial here when you have the dash ability in terms of not only going fast, but continuing to go fast after your attacks. And then, of course, the duration. The way that the dash attack works, if you kill an enemy when you do a dash attack, you always get SP as a drop, and it will like home into your character. So you're always kind of resupplying on the fly. There's a couple edge cases where that may not be true. Oh no. Right after a checkpoint, so it's not that big of a deal. Loss of the SP dispenser is really the big punishment there. One of the edge cases, for example, would be if you do a dash attack to an enemy and you're really close to a screen transition and you go to the next screen and the SP doesn't have a chance to reach you, well, obviously you're not going to get that SP refilled. Whole gimmick, down stab. Okay, so down stab is very reactive. We all try and down stab as like a panic response when we need to. The problem is you can't wall grab when you down stab. So unfortunately that prevented them from grabbing that ledge. The whole gimmick to this section is basically going to be, you see these red lasers. It's going to cause enemy turrets and the big saw blade and stuff like that to come out and attack you, as seen here. Useful in some cases. Saw blade always drops a large amount of health. A lot of the turrets can be used for fast movement. So sometimes you will see our runners purposely activate these turrets to use enemies to go faster. Yeah, Kyle just subconsciously knew that 2C had missed out on the skip and wanted to give a moment to balance it all out again. All right, 2C entering Chapter 6. So there's an example of a runner definitely spawning the turrets on purpose. And Kyle's on their way to the tunnel cleaner. Hoping, of course, that neither of our runners get their tunnel cleaned today. This boss is basically a set fight in terms of how we prefer to execute it. You can hit the eyeball multiple times when the shield does open up, so sometimes there's an advantage to not hitting it as soon as possible. But basically, very, very nice fight. Totally on script there. Basically what you'll see that our runners do is combining parries with other attacks, such as the enemies that you can kill and fire back at the enemy, back at Tunnel Cleaner. Utilizing all those aspects to kind of maximize the amount of damage you can get in per eye opening, and ensuring that the eye opening lines up with your attacks. Alright, we're on to Chapter 7, which has been dubbed by the community as Streets of Rage Jams. Which, that perfectly lines up my thoughts and feelings the first time I heard it. We're going to face off against these walls, which we found out the other day are apparently named Knock Knock, and that just tickles me in some way. But yeah, these wall enemies are a little bit treacherous. The first one's a little more forgiving, and then the second one is on 3 moving platforms over a pit of spikes, and nobody likes it. Nice parry. Another one. Very safe. So, we see Kyle getting unfortunately hung up by the pink or purple flames, whatever you would like to classify them as there. They just last too long. And I will say that you could confidently ask any runner or any player of this game, and they will tell you that those flames long overstay their welcome. Like, and you try and get good at interpreting when they're going to be gone so you can move on safely. Nope, don't even bother. Just don't even bother. It's going to be there long after it's welcome. You are inevitably going to just, like, land in them. I've just accepted it as fact at this point. Alright, so on to the area with the green goo. So this is where you're going to see our runners run into purple bugs, but purple skulls that are in these big green orbs. And they will essentially track you down and try and detonate. So they go all kamikaze. And they do a lot of damage. So you really don't want that. You saw Kyle pick up the free SP dispenser on the right-hand side. Oh, 2C. The 2C tried to save that and did actually save that, but didn't realize, I think. Had he kept going forward, he would have pogoed off the enemy and would have been fine. But unfortunately, I think got a little bit unsure as to what was going to happen there and turned back. So yeah, basically what you're going to want to see both of our runners do is pick up that SP dispenser that's free and then try and carry it for as long as possible to maximize these dashes. This cyber area is unfortunately not one we can take advantage of like the earlier one. There's no like hit the first switch and then leave trick. It's when we actually have to go the distance. Kyle looking good on the SP dispenser. Still 2 hits left on it. Nice door entry. Oh, and of course, slightly ran out of SP on that last jump. But hitting the dragon at 38 and I think it was 34 seconds, maybe 35 seconds, Very, very respectable time. You can see 2C spawned one of those skulls and took a shot at it. Opted to parry that shot in the corner. That was a nice strat. I do appreciate that small bit of patience to deal with that. Unfortunately, getting cornered by the bugs and the poison. Oh no. So, Chapter 7 gonna Chapter 7, and unfortunately for 2C, Chapter 7 is definitely doing that. Got through alive, which is the most important part. Unfortunately, rip SP dispenser. It could not make the trip. I guess he got bullied by green gas and purple bugs. You wish for the ability to jump a second time. Plus some other stuff that doesn't really come into play nearly as often. Nice kunai shot. That was kind of cool. But yeah, the dragon gives you the ability to do a double jump. It gives you the ability to charge any of your attacks. Charge down stab, for example. Charge dash actually does something. Regular slash just being more damaging. But double jump is really where it's at. If you've played many or even a few video games with double jump, you'll realize that generally double jump tends to break games. Maria Castlevania players know this well. But yeah, Kyle right now still one shot left on that SP dispenser, so making full use of it, tossing the shuriken. And 2C gonna activate the Dragon Balls, basically 2 minutes behind Kyle at the moment. So Kyle right now in the driver's seat of this race, but Cyber Shadow gonna Cyber Shadow, and we're not counting anybody out. Alright, coming into the Exo section. So we learned something here apparently. And because we learned basically a while back that the SP dispenser, when you're in the Exo auto scroller section, it actually can give you currency, essence, which is great for later shops. Can give you a good buffer if you happen to be short on currency. It can give you the ability to buy more SP dispensers or something like that along the way if you've already got a healthy amount of currency. Here's the thing though, the way this apparently works, and it was discovered recently, is that you have to be missing an SP when you start the auto scroller section. And I'm guessing this is because that way the detector just like detects that you're missing SP, and it's like, oh, we need to do something, and then it gives you the essence. Apparently that's a thing. We originally thought it was just have the SP dispenser during the auto scroller and it would do it automatically. But yeah, apparently if you ever get to this section and want to get the dispense, you need to like waste some of that SP before your bike ride. XO2 doesn't matter? Okay, just to even complicate things further, because why not? Honestly, it's a really neat effect though. And it's a really good opportunity to farm some extra essence should you make it here. SP dispenser in tow. Alright, end of the first auto scroller section. 2C making his way to the end of the cyber section. Bike ride's generally pretty comfy. There's a achievement for not taking any damage called Don't Scratch the Paint. But generally that's a chance for our runners to maybe take a moment to relax. Oh, Kyle. This wall can be... No! I said it. Well, actually, no, I didn't say it. I was going to say it, but that wall can be deceptively tricky. And I don't know if it's just nerves because it's like right before a checkpoint. But You know that next room, the checkpoint's just waiting there, and you get hounded by these enemies. And if you happen to just miss one of those parries, it can go off the rail so easily. Alrighty, okay, on to Exo 2. Meanwhile, we have 2C here on Exo 1. We've got both forms of Exo and in all our glory. Awesome. We'll take a moment to be sure to follow our runners. It's absolutely amazing to watch them do their thing. And of course, both of them love the game, put in the time, put in the work. I know Kyle's been really pushing that time down lately, like I said, and 2C has been on a little bit of a break, but both of them taking the time to participate in our tournament here. Kyle's going to attack aggressively. For those that don't get the Contra reference, I feel bad. But this is generally a free 3-cycle, and can be manipulated in terms of your positioning and damage on the mini-boss. Boosh. Meanwhile, we have 2C coming out of the end of Exo 1. Fun fact, if you hold right at the end of Exo 1, you bounce slightly further to the right in that little... It looks like a turtle shell airbag. I don't have another way to describe it. But if you hold right at the end of that scene, you actually go slightly further right. And it's a small time save. For some reason. Alright. Now making their way through the end of the Gundam section. One gets fully healed. Prepped to feeling like a boss fight. But no. All we have are F's in chat for Exo. Apparently Operator can do like one thing. And it's only this one thing. I'm honestly a little bit disappointed that we didn't have like more of a full-fledged boss fight in the Gundam suit opposed to like the mini boss. Here we're gonna see Kyle. They're either going to opt to take a death or do a save and quit. We'll see what happens. All right, opted for the save and quit. Both totally fine. Basically, you're left with 1 HP after that section, and nobody wants to deal with this part of the game with 1 HP. Because this next set of rooms is very, very, very likely to give you some trouble. This one, not so bad, but the next one, this is where people have a lot of struggles. There's tons of variations on how you can do this room. All of them get you here at the end in almost the same amount of time. It's really just your enemy management. It's really easy, and that was very clean. Like, Kyle's enemy management through the top section and when dropping down was absolutely great. So they were super safe, and nicely done. Alright, we're gonna see if Exo is gonna have more luck on the left-hand side. We can hope, right? Don't hope. Oh no, Kyle. Okay, very, very short death. Not very punishing at all. May have had the SP dispenser still, though I think that's the one loss there, unfortunately, because they very likely bought it previous, or they had it from the section previous. Nope. F's in chat for Exo again. One of these races, maybe. Oh. What? Oh, Kyle. Okay. Kyle had at least like 2 or 3 shots at trying to save that, and was on the ball. Like, pretty much read that situation best they could, but Nice under route. Oh, unfortunately. Yeah, this section can be super punishing. So it's very easy to death loop in this section of the game. This is Return to Mekacity, aptly named, or this is where our tournament is named after, of course. This is where you're going to see kind of combinations of enemies and traps and things like that from different chapters throughout. Unfortunately, Kyle taking another death there. But yeah, this is extremely easy to get caught in a death loop in this section. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of instant death spikes in 8 in general. You're dealing with these enemies that are shooting lots of projectiles, with things that are electrocuted. You've got spikes popping out of the ceilings and the walls. Here's that kunai toss that we mentioned earlier. Very nice. Yeah. Kyle unfortunately hitting a couple hurdles, but not unusual for this type of game, or for this game, and for this section of this game specifically. We're going to see if 2C can keep the SP dispenser, maybe make up a little bit of time going forward, having a little more SP to play with. We'll see how long that lasts. All right. Kyle coming out of Chapter 8 into Chapter 9. We're going to see 2C tackle that same section that we just saw Kyle tackle. See how 2C is going to fare. Going to go for a little different strats. Goes for the upper route over the projectile shooting robot there on the ground. Yes, everyone can get their boat chance in now. So the community has basically, there's two different things that can happen. There is fast boat and there is slow boat. And the lore goes basically that if you wish slow boat upon our runners, that they will get fast boat. I have no claim to that actually being true, but that's what people say. So if that's how you want to roll and that's what you would like to do, you can certainly wish slow boat upon our runners. Kyle, with a little bit of a clench moment, 1 HP left, but got through it. 2C making his way on to Chapter 9. You wish for the same boat on each side? I mean, that's fair. Section very dangerous. Yep. This section very dangerous. Well, I mean, it was bound to happen. It took like 51 minutes, but it was bound to happen. That was, you know, sometimes I pride myself on timing. That was not one of them. But Kyle's going to make a second go at this. Things really hit hard, basically. Everything has more damage than we've been used to through the majority of the game. So all of a sudden you have things that are doing free damage regularly. Opting to go down and around, not a bad play. Given that there's a checkpoint right here. 2C going to be able to make up some time. Assuming that he doesn't run into the same types of issues. Really, we're looking at our runners being just moments apart again. Boat full of tacos. On Tuesday? Would be the appropriate day for said boat. Alright, so the boat, auto-scroller time, super simple. You're going to see our runners likely opting for the same technique on both sides. Dash attack will kill these enemies right out of the gates. Recenter your position, wait for the next one, rinse, repeat. Destroy all the little robos that come out of the small crates. The big enemy that comes out of the large crate will drop HP if you are 4 and below. If you have 5 or above, it will drop money. One thing to be aware of. If you ever do want to force an HP drop there and you happen to be at 5, for example, just take a hit. Alright, let's see what kind of boat we're going to get here. Oh. Last enemy had an extra moment there for Kyle. Kyle is slow boating. You see, also slow boating. There you go. You folks got your wish. They got the same RNG. Alright, fresh SP dispenser into the Combinatron. Whole nuance to this fight is basically Combinatron wants to heal. You don't want Combinatron to heal. So you force a specific attack pattern and you basically try Kyle. Woof, that was close. But Kyle just pulling off the quick kill. 2C going to try the same. The game wants you to destroy its hands to prevent it from healing. And 2C unfortunately had a little drop in damage. And when that happened, it allowed Combinatron to not to go into the healing phase, basically. So parries in that fight really strong. 2C was able to bring that back really quickly. Sometimes it can be easy to get into a loop where after he starts healing, you just can't get him out of that loop. Alrighty. Both runners passed successfully, though. Another jam. We're into Chapter 10. Kyle, unfortunately, taking a death to that section, which is not unusual. There were some changes here in later patches, and doing the backup strat, because of no SP, you can go over those, by the way. If you don't have SP and you don't want to do dash strats through that section, because I don't know of a dash strat backup myself for no SP, you can just go over those. 2C successfully making it through. This gap has been significantly closed, by the way. Like, we are... This could change in an instant. Oh, 2C, no. Unfortunately, that's a little bit of a rough death to take. The amount of time that you get sent back and the amount of waiting you have to do for this door again and whatnot. Yep. Kyle with a very nice shuriken. This section can be notoriously dangerous. Like, this section looks pretty simple. You would think just hit the switch and you're fine. It can be really easy to take a lot of damage in this section. Everything hits pretty hard, and it's not impossible to die to that wall. On to Spider Rail. We're going to see some rather new tech here. So doing the charged rising fires, the Spider Rail, to actually damage it before it enters the screen. You're going to be seeing the kunais used to damage Spider Rail when its eye is closed. And very nice fight. So the advantage the early rising fire and damage does is it actually gets Spider Rail to do the, we call it the onion ring attack for the most part. But it gets him to shoot out his mass amount of onion rings really fast, and we can just parry that right back in its face. Let's see how 2C does with his. I'll meanwhile onto the climb. This will come down to how many commentator curses are left. Well, you've got the climb and you've got the final fight. And I mean, then I guess you've got the soft lock at the end of the game that could happen if our runners are really, really, really unlucky. Or just not being careful, because that soft lock is totally avoidable. 2C done with Spider Rail. Not at all. I did not. So Kyle in a little bit of a dilemma. 3 shy of getting the SP refill. Ideally, if you're in the perfect circumstance here, you'd like to be able to get the SP refill, because then you can use that SP at the start of this section of the fight. Not the end of the world, but tried some parry strats. I respect it. Trying to play it safe, though. Definitely do not want to lose that SP dispenser. Yeah, there is a soft lock. If you do hit 2 of the ending switches at the exact same time, it only registers one of them and it disables the other. And you end up not being able to hit all 4 switches. We've only had a single instance of that. And as a community, we ended up accepting the run, because it was a situation that was pretty unique. Pro Gen 1 down very quickly. On to Pro Gen 2. Alright, so we see Kyle destroying the left and the right, or the left and the middle. So the middle will give you the ability to have this little shield here. And then the pink one will give you little like... Oh, unfortunately whiffed one of them there. Maybe whiffed the second? I couldn't tell if that hit or not. I thought it hit at the very end. We keep the right one alive to basically pogo off of, so we can get up and do some slashes. Alright. Pre-G to Kyle Berry. Ending Pro Gen 3 as 2C has the fight down to half health. And this is not going to be a long distance between them. GG to 2C as well. Really, really good race. This basically ended up being as close as I would expect it to be. All right, all that's left is for Kyle to accept the newfound powers and rescue the master. Yeah, 2C really picked up time in the second half. Kyle unfortunately had gotten into that little bit of a death loop, but 2C really really took advantage of that in the second half of the game. All right. So on stream finished at 101.09. GG to Kyle with an official race time, GG time of 101.14. Probably just a little bit later on the dot done. And then 2C. Last switch, please. Bringing it home. 101.33. Race time GG time of 101.35. GG to both of our racers. Congratulations. All right. I'm going to see if I can... I'm going to invite them in, see if they would like to do an interview piece here. Alright, let's get ourselves some tunes too. Alrighty, so we've got Kyle here with us. Just getting the mic geared up.
Just unmuting real quick. Hello, everyone.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was extremely exciting to watch. I know chat was back and forth throughout the duration of it. You guys were close throughout the duration. You basically held the lead from Chapter 2 and on. 2C took an early death in Chapter 2, and you basically sprung out slightly ahead at that point, and had a little bit more trouble with the front half. And then second half, when you got into that little bit of a death loop in 7.
Oh my gosh.
Which unfortunately happens in 7.
Yes.
When that happened, that's really when he started to bring some of that time back. And I think, you know, endgame going into it, like you went from 2 minutes apart at hitting the dragon and getting fully powered up to finishing 20 seconds apart. So 2C just had a really, really strong back half.
Let's go. I'm glad to hear that. I expect nothing less from Tuesday. He's a phenomenal runner, and I couldn't ask for a more challenging opponent.
Yeah, it's basically the race that we all kind of expected and hoped for. Big congrats to you for coming out on top. I know you've been honing your skills a lot lately, and that run, if I'm not mistaken, isn't even that far off your PB.
No, I want to say, let's see the splits here. Well, okay, the last split didn't split, go figure. But it's 20 seconds off. I have a 1 hour 59 seconds.
Yeah. It's just like, I knew you were pushing close to that. Like once we were coming up on time and I was realizing, hey, we're just going to hit an hour. I'm like, oh, they're going to be really close to the PB, knowing that you were still just north of 1 hour for PB at the moment. But we all know that sub hour is going to happen soon.
Thank you. I believe that. I don't know if it was still chapter 8 in the reactor part. I kept dying. I'm like, I know practice last night was telling me not to go for that underplaid, but I can't resist a good underplaid.
Yeah, I actually made note of that strat too, where you like dash attacked through the Octobot guy too, because like most runners I've seen climb up the wall slightly, take that extra second to go over that projectile attack, and then some will either opt to blow up the pipe and then attack the squid and go over as intended. Some will opt to go under. I'd never seen the double under, like where you dash attacked the bot dude and then went under afterwards, but that was really clean. I really enjoyed that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's been scaring me a lot. I tried to practice it ad nauseum, but you know how practice goes once the real run hits.
For sure.
I should have played it safe, especially against 2C. I'm just happy that I was able to keep it together for enough of the run to pull through.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really, like, other than the couple obvious spots where things went a little off the rails, and that's just Cyber Shadow in a nutshell, the rest of your stuff was really strong and consistent, which was what definitely got you the W. Like, we saw any part where you were clean and it was looking good. It was really good. Your spider rail fight was great. You had the
shout-outs to Meshiya-san. I learned it from their run.
Yeah. You had the early damage in. You got the early onion rings out of the big eyeball. Everything lined up perfectly. You got the damage on the parries, so that was really good. You both had a 4-cycle Mecha Dragon.
Fast elevator. Oh, okay. Mecha Dragon was not in a good mood today.
No. You guys had kind of different fights. 2C's 4-cycle was slightly faster. Basically, he had 2 really good cycles off the bat, and then kind of whiffed 3rd cycle. And then so when it came back on 4th cycle, there's just barely any health left, so it was like just barely a 4-cycle.
Gotcha.
Was not playing nice in your case, and I was kind of explaining to chat the complexities of not only you managing the RNG platforms, you're managing trying to restore your SP, and then you're also trying to be conscientious of not attacking because you want to charge your charge blaster as well. There's just so many things to manage and so many ways you can tackle that fight.
I remember that precise opening. I think I slashed too early and the bullet didn't come out to destroy the last platform I wanted. I'm like, Mecha Dragon's gonna spawn right there.
Yeah.
And then sure enough. But other than that, I'm not too upset with that RNG. Killed myself trying to go for a door clip in 7, but I can't regret that now. I just wish I spent more time looking for like an SP setup and like having more confidence in the parry, because ultimately that last parry ghosting out right as I died was just the saddest sight burned into my retinas.
Yeah, so you're advancing to round 3. You're obviously on a little bit of a roll, and you've brought us, I guess, what you would call the first upset of the tournament if we're going strictly based on steeds. Of course, we know things are going to get a little tighter. You're going to be facing off against Meshaya. I hope I pronounced that remotely correctly. Meshaya. In the next round, assuming that they come out ahead of the Big 1K, or Big K1. I always get that backwards. I'm sorry. So yeah, we're going to see those two Titans face off. That's going to determine your opponent. And we're going to see the next top bracket matches between Turkey 619 and the DJ, and Mini and Space Narc. Both also going to be amazing races. I'm really excited for round 2. I don't know about you, but like I looked at the round 2 lineup and I was like, this is going to be good.
I'm stoked for all of these races, honestly. I'm definitely looking forward to see who my next opponent is, but there's a lot of talent here, and I'm really excited to see what we got going forward. People have been PBing like crazy, and I hope we keep it up.
Yeah, I saw at least half a dozen people PB'd basically at the opening of the tournament, which is hilarious because I was doing seeding, and it's like day of the closing of registration, everyone's like, here's a PB, here's a PB, here's a PB, and just like we got a whole rush of submissions on SRC, but it was awesome to see.
You love that kind of activity for sure.
Definitely. Alrighty. Well, thanks for hanging out all. Take care, and keep an eye out for our next race, which is going to be on Wednesday. That's going to be between Space Narc and Mini. That's, again, going to be set to be a good one. Thank you, Kyle, for joining me for the post-race interview as well, and good luck on your next matchup. And, yeah, enjoy the rest of your Monday, all. Take care.
Of course. Take care, everybody. Thanks for having me.